Chaf Beis, Mishnah Vav. Says the Mishnah, Sochin umemashmashin b'bnei ma'ayim. You're allowed to anoint, to add oil, umemashmashin, and to massage b'bnei ma'ayim, the stomach. Some girsas, some texts don't have the lashon b'nei ma'ayim, and it just reads you're allowed to sochin umemashmashin, that anointing and massaging would be okay. The Bartanura says sochin shemen b'Shabbos, they would use, the practice in the times of the Chazal was actually to use olive oil. Umemashmashin b'yad, sort of massage al kol haguf lahano, for physical pleasure, that is in order on Shabbos, that's mutter. Avoloi misalmlin v'loi misgardin. But what you're not allowed to do is misalmlin, which means like a heavier type of massage. The Bartanura says l'shavshef b'koyach, to massage it with force. V'loi misgardin, nor are you allowed to scrape, to take some sort of metal or some earthenware and to scrape the skin, because again that looks like it's an uvda dechol, the Bartanura says. It looks like a weekday activity, so therefore you shouldn't do that on Shabbos. The interesting thing is the Rambam. The Rambam says in Hilchas Shabbos, Perek Chaf Aleph Chaf Ches, he says, Eizuhu mis'amel. What does it mean, mis'amel? This vigorous type of kneading, this vigorous massage. Zeh shedars mal gufa b'koyach. It's a heavy pounding on the guf. At shiagia v'yazia, until a person is tired v'yazia, and he's sweating, he's perspiring. Or he walks, he exercises until he's tired and he's sweating. And to do that on Shabbos is also because of refuah. So not so much uvda dechol, but mishum refuah. But the Mefarshim point out that according to the Rambam, the issa would specifically be that if you do it to the point where you start sweating. But if you were to massage, even a very vigorous massage, where you don't cause the person to sweat, then that would be okay. The halach, if I'm not mistaken, we don't paskin like that. We paskin like those who, the normal interpretation of misamlin, that it's a problem of the dechol, and therefore any sort of heavy pounding or massage is a problem. But kula alma, a sort of a light, gentle massage, therefore lechera would be in order, would be okay. Continues the Mishnah. Ein yardin lekardema. You're not allowed to go down to the kardema. Says the Bartanura. What is the kardema? Bika. Says the Bartanura, two pshatim. The first pshat, Bika, it's a valley. Melea mayim, which is full of water. The tachteho tit k'moy devek. And in the water, the sort of the base, the bottom of the water is very thick. It's very muddy, and it's very thick, like glue. And it's that there are places at in the base of this river and this pond where the person will get stuck, but in this sort of quicksand material. And he'll get stuck there, and he won't be able to get out until a group of people come around, and they take him out with tremendous effort and with difficulty, and therefore it's dangerous for him to go into this sort of pond on Shabbos, because he'll get caught up in the quicksand at the bottom, and therefore he'll endanger himself. Pirush Acher says the Bartanura second pshat. Because shetit aleh shelo, it's just a valley. He's not going into the water, but the actual surface of the valley is machalik, is very slippery. V'haroichet sham noifel begodav, he'll slip over, he'll fall. V'noishrim b'mayim, and his begodav will fall into the water. V'osri de schita, and he'll come therefore to wring out his begodav. So either way, the Mishnah says, ein yard in the kardema, you're not allowed to go down to this valley, this place on Shabbos. Ve'ein oisin apikt vizin. You're not allowed to do this. What is this strange word, apikt vizin? So the Bartanura says it's a contraction of the word apik tvei zayin. What does these words mean? Apik koloma means lahoitzi hamozm mimokum bishulei. It's literally to make himself sick, to make himself vomit. Lahoitzi hamozm mimokum bishulei. And then he says apik is moitzi. Apik means to take out. Tvei means things which are cooked. And sli, all things which are cooked, and zayin is mozen. So you mustn't take some sort of medication, some sort of potion to remove food which has been cooked and is now in your stomach to digest. Otherwise, you mustn't induce vomiting. You mustn't make yourself sick. But the Bartanura adds, "V'dafka lishtois mashke shmevila haki." and it's dafka to drink some sort of liquid which will cause this vomiting. She'osa b'Shabbos, that's what's also. But if a person wants to sort of manually make himself sick, to put his finger down his throat, kadei lahaki, that's mutter, that doesn't violate the prohibition of refuah on Shabbos. But the Batner also adds, v'heicha de islei tzara, but if a person is in tremendous distress, if imyaki yisrap, and if he therefore induces vomiting, he causes himself to become sick, then mutter afil aladei mashke, that would be allowed even aladei mashke if a person is unwell. Continues the Mishnah. Ve'ein ma'atzvin es hakoton. A person is not, you're not allowed on Shabbos to straighten the limbs of an infant. The Bartanura says, L'saknoi uliyoshev atzmoisov v'chulis shidrosoi. To straighten up his limbs if the vertebrae is sort of out of shape. You're not allowed to sort of reset the vertebrae in his back because it looks like building on Shabbos. That's only, after some time. Later, on the day in which the child is born, shari, that in fact is mutter. Okay, continues and concludes the Mishnah. Ve'ein machazirin es hashever. You're not allowed to reset a fracture on Shabbos. The Bartanura says, etzem shenishba, a fracture. Ve'ein haloch k'mishazub. The haloch is not like this Mishnah. Ela haloch shemachazirin es hashever b'Shabbos. You are allowed to reset it on Shabbos, and that in fact is the halacha brought down in Shulchan Aruch in Siman Shin Chav Ches Seif Mem Zayin. The Machava says, "Etzem sheyotzu koyim machazirin oso." If a bone breaks, on Shabbos, then you're allowed to reset it on Shabbos. Now, the Mishnah Berurah there in Sif Kotzen Kuf Mem Hey says that that's specifically if the bone fractures on Shabbos. But if it's dislocated, he brings the Magen Avraham who argues and says that it would be also to sort of reset a dislocated bone on Shabbos. But the Mishnah Berurah says that Alidayin Yehudi, since there are others who argue Alidayin Yehudi ein machmir, that it's mutter to tell a non-Jew to reset this bone which has become dislocated on Shabbos. And he concludes that if there's sakonis eva, there's any danger to the limb whatsoever, then it would be mutter even to reset it yourself without any problem. Concludes the Mishnah, Misha Nifrika Yod V'Ragloi. If a person, it's not a full dislocation, that was the previous case, but Misha Nifrika Yod V'Ragloi, which means it's like a partial dislocation of a limb on Shabbos, his foot or his hand, Lo Yitrafein B'Tzoinin. He mustn't rub them with cold water. Says the Bartanura, Lo Yitrafein Loshen Bitzis Trufus B'Ka'ara, sort of vigorous rubbing, Shemishtatef B'Tzoinin Al Mokum Hashever. So you're pouring water and rubbing it to mechzek and refuah of it, because it looks like you're doing it for refuah purposes, which is not allowed. However, if he wants to sort of pour water over it or just to bathe the foot, then that's mutter. If it happens to sort of reset itself, then that is no problem. That is the end of Mishnah Vav and the end of the 22nd parak of Shabbos.